right, huddle up, huddle up. We're gonna crank these engines up on one. All right? Wait, set. Drivers, start your engines.
This is the finish line.
I coached a great offensive lineman in the past. Larry Little, Dwight Stevenson, Jim Langer, all Hall of Famers, and Richmond Webb belongs to that same group.
Here are your hosts, legendary Miami Dolphins left tackle Richmond Webb, Reason, and Mr. BallGame.
What is good, Fit Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back for another one as we meet y'all at the finish line. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, the legendary Richmond Webb, the triple OG, Mr. Keeping It 100, Mr. Keeping It Real, Mr. Doing 600 miles per hour in his truck on the freeway, Mr. Don't Pull Up on Me in No Home Depot, Mr. BallGame. What's good, gentlemen? How are you doing? We are officially coming off of a victory. We're in that middle of the week where we're coming off a victory and transitioning into a new opponent as the Dolphins got back to practice today. Jackson did not practice. We'll go over today's injury report. We'll do it all. I want to shout out the Believe Network. If you are not watching us live on YouTube every Wednesday night at 8:30, you are catching us the next day. So good morning, good afternoon, good night, whatever you're enjoying on the next day, whether you're listening on Stitcher, iTunes, Spotify, wherever you're catching us. I appreciate everyone for tuning in and hope y'all enjoy. Gentlemen, how are you feeling after celebrating the first victory Monday of hopefully many this year and this season?
Reason, what's up, Mr. BallGame, gentlemen? I think everybody's doing pretty good. Like you said, 1-0, starting the season out right, and then starting the season out right against a divisional opponent, New England Patriots. They've been a thorn in our side, along with a lot of other people's, for over 2 decades. But I do believe the tide is turning, and I think even when we did the previous shows or whatever, we knew how important it is, those divisional games are. And they're normally a tough game, this and that, but definitely excited, seeing some really good things in the game. But I also saw some things we possibly could clean up. But it's week 1, game 1, and that's kind of to be expected. But to be 1-0 right now, it definitely feels good. Definitely feels a whole lot better than being 0-1, especially playing at home in front of that crowd and stuff like that. So I'm feeling pretty good, excited, happy to be back on the show with you two guys. How is Mr. Orange Bucket, Mr. BallGames? What's going on, my brother?
Oh, man. All these different names. I'm getting confused. It's all good,
now you're Mr. Man of Many Names. We just added another one, bro.
It's all good, fellas. I'm just, I don't know, man. I got mixed feelings, but I understand football a lot differently than a lot of our fan base. So, I've been watching a lot of stuff out here over the past couple of days, but I see things a little bit different, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But I'm just glad that we got the win most of all. That's the most important piece. Obviously, I've been saying for months that there's going to be things that need to be cleaned up and things they're going to have to work on. But, overall, I'm okay with where we are. I think it's a pretty decent showing as opposed to anything else. We could have took the L, and then there'd been a whole lot more. So at this point right now, I'm okay. And as always, happy to be here with you guys. So.
All right, let's start this off. I'm going to hit y'all with a curve because every time I send these guys notes of what we're going to be talking about on that day. So officially the first curveball. If you guys have been on Twitter over the last 72 hours, the talk has been TipGate. I don't know if you guys have been catching up on it, and it's about the first play of the game whether Matt Judon tipped it or not. You remember that when Waddle was running the curl at the bottom of the screen and Tyreek looked like it was on an option route, or he just decided to change the route and turn the curl into a fly. That one that died out early. Well, there's been a lot of people watching all 22, the broadcast views. I watched the all 22 yesterday, and I did it on Phinside the NFL, and I said, listen, this is the conclusion I've come to. Judon either tipped it or Tua was throwing the curl, and because of the pressure coming right away, he threw to a spot while Tyreek optioned it, right? So into a fly. So anyways, so after that, I had to record a piece. I was on Dougley Do Wrong today. We did a pick'em about every game. So if you guys are on YouTube, go check Dougley Do Wrong out and our pick'em show. And anyways, I guess we were tagged on Twitter by shout out to Shad the Prince, I believe was the person who tagged us. And this gentleman slowed it down frame by frame, rate by rate. I'm going to show you guys this. I want to get your opinion because you guys are fresh to this. You guys have not been keeping up on TipGate or whatever. I saw this angle, gentlemen. It looks like it hits Matt Judon's face mask. And I know you guys are saying to yourself, why is everyone making a big deal about it? I don't know. It's not the Zapruder film, but we're out here acting like we're solving the JFK assassination on Twitter when it's a tip football. And you know what it is. It's the whole arm strength narrative, et cetera, right? Y'all know what it is already. I'm going to show you guys the clip frame by frame. And gentlemen, it looks as if, I'm just saying, it looks as if the original thought was it grazed his arm, Judon's arm, but it looks as if it grazes his helmet. So look at it. I'm showing you guys frame by frame. I'm letting it roll. Look, and then the trajectory dies, right? And if you watch it come across his helmet. That's when it changes trajectory. Like it looks straight out, like he's gunning it, right? And then it hits that helmet. And look, you saw you saw the ball. Do you see the end of the ball fly up a little bit? Watch. Yeah. When it follows through, you'll see if you look at the end of the ball right there, I don't know. It looks like it hits the helmet. I don't know. When I saw this,
changes a lot for me.
Yeah, I just wanted to get your guys' opinion on this because this has been it looks like it changes right there. So Dougley, a bunch of content creators were tagged in this, and I hadn't seen it, right? Because I was doing the all 22, so I wasn't flying through it, but you can't stop it frame by frame and back it up like that, right? And so when I saw that, I was like, man, that looks like helmet to me. Your guys' thoughts just off of seeing that, because that's the first time you guys have seen that. I'm not hitting you guys with anything sideways. It's the first time.
So you sent me the all 22.
Yeah. Oh yeah, you saw the all 22.
So I watched it. So I watched that, and I rolled that clip back maybe at least 3 to 4 minutes just watching it. And to me, over and over again, as much video and film as I've watched over the years and watching our guys after the football games, preparing for other teams. The way that ball came out from Tua's hand, man, and the way it died and looked as it got past the D-line, I immediately went to saying that something hit it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Either it was tipped by the inside of his hand, but now looking at the film, that makes sense because Judon was right there in the pass lane and his face mask, which looks like it clipped it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't know if it was a body part or if it was a piece of equipment, but it looked like, based on when Tua threw it, how that ball died immediately the way it did, and it was changed. I was like, oh, that ball got tipped. And I moved on from it, but, people
I don't
get into that. Yeah.
It's because of the whole arm narrative. We knew this was going to happen. Ball game.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so, dude, I'm going to get Richmond's opinion on it in a sec, but we're at that point, week 1, where people are already breaking this stuff down like this is a Zapruder film, bro. Like, this is already showing, I hope you're right this week. I hope I'm as wrong as the sun coming up at night. Because, bro, I hope you're right because and it's not even to be, it's just because I don't want to listen to anything anymore. I need this kid to ball. Like, I don't even want to hear it anymore. Like, I'm at the point where I'm backing the kid up where it's like, just because I don't want to hear all the noise. You know what I mean? Like, we can't even enjoy a win for 24 hours, and our own fan base is once again
on that BS.
Divisive against each other, and it's like it's I know I've said it to you privately, and I'm going to say it publicly probably for the first time. The thing about being a content creator in this is you really see the side of fans sucking the joy,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're like, you're doing like 5 or 6 shows a week, and you know what I mean? And when you come to your game, especially when you win, you've worked all week to build up to that, and you just want to enjoy the win.
Yep.
And, you got to go back to like killing false narratives, and it's just and like and having to work extra hard because you got to inform the misinformed because of the misinformation out there. It's like
it gets to be a bit much, man.
Oh man, it's that's why it's easy for some of us to take the fan out of it, because other fans have taken the fan out of it for us at times. So
Facts.
like that's why we turn more into like people want to view us or lump us in as journalists, because I mean we get treated like that, and we get turned into like that by all the stuff we got to deal with. Richmond, you look at that, what did you think about? Did it look like it changed trajectory to you? I got to get your guys' opinion on it because everyone's talking about it, and this is the final time I'm going to talk about it. So I wanted to get what you guys thought about it.
Yeah, it needs to be the last time you talk about it. I mean, some of this is just nonsense, and I'll just keep scrolling or whatever most of the time. But typically, if the ball would have came out his hand wobbling and stuff like that, that would be a different story. But for it to come out tight, you can see where it changed. And like I said, I don't know why. Well, I do know why. I think a lot of people that are Dolphin fans still are not happy with Tua. No matter what he does, somebody's going to always look to find fault. And sometimes you just got to love those people from afar. That's what I do. You're a Dolphin fan, but it's just some people live off negativity, and some people live and just say, I got to be right, instead of saying, I was wrong about this, I was wrong about that. Not necessarily, but you could be right, but you still got to want what's best for the team. And the way I look at it is, even if you don't like him, that's our quarterback, so you got to ride with him. You know what I'm saying? We can't switch him out for nobody else. 2 or 3 years ago, you might have wanted somebody else. You could be right. They could be a good quarterback, but they're on another team. But if you're going to support the Dolphins, you got to support them. But just to keep nitpicking, stuff like that. I mean, we all make mistakes. I made mistakes as a player. No matter how great you are, no matter who you are, ain't nobody played no perfect game or a whole perfect career, whatever. So it's just part of it. You got to move on. But I understand your viewpoint because, like you say, you're a content creator, 5, 6, 7 days. You go on live. You're trying to put information out there. You're trying to educate some of the fans that maybe not have as much football knowledge. But then you got to always try to overcome this because people will read this and then that'll help form an opinion and be like, is this true or whatever? And then you got to fight so hard to correct a lot of wrongs and stuff like that. So, so I feel for you on that.
Like, you know what? Like, everyone knows who's watched the channel, and BallGame knows me because he's known me since basically day one in this, in this community or whatever. And, he knows I'm not a fan of Jerome Baker. But would I ever root against Jerome Baker? Like, no. Me and him tease each other about Noah Igbinoghene. Everyone knows how I feel about Noah Igbinoghene. But do I want Noah Igbinoghene to hit?
Yes.
You know what I mean? But we're getting to like people are like actively rooting. It's like people would rather be right or whatever than see success, man. It's like I don't know. So, anyways, I just wanted to get you guys' opinion on it. Go ahead, BallGame.
I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, if we really gonna talk about it or even mention it, because I'm sure at this point you're just as tired of all this foolishness as I am. I think there's a strong sense of there's a divide that's been created by bogus narratives and people out here, clearly talking about stuff as if they truly know what they're talking about. When you really sit back and listen to it, it's all just clickbait. Because at the end of the day, anybody with any common sense knows that you don't root against your own squad. or any player that's on the squad. No matter how much you dislike the player is still part of the organization. You're supposed to be the colors over the individual person. But you know, they've a lot of people have gone clearly out here and made it about individual players, and that energy is just so toxic that it takes away any good that these guys do. There's always going to be that energy still creeping in that people are going to gravitate to and then nitpick everything, and then it creates a whole nother situation. And I just don't understand. Like, if that's how people really live their regular lives, then you're a miserable person. I'm sorry.
Well, look at how people were with Jalen Phillips. Remember how people were with Jalen Phillips over those first 6 games? They were, where's this kid's already a bust, and then he started racking up the sacks, and then it was like, oh, he's amazing. It's like, unless you're not an all-pro out of the gate like a Javon Holland, you're just like, you're gonna put up with divide in the fan base.
They did the same thing to Christian Wilkins for 2 years, bro.
Hey,
so.
You know, hey, everyone knows I'm a fan of Skylar Thompson, and I'm a fan of too. I think I like both of these guys' ceilings in this offense. I like both of their ceilings in this offense.
Right.
But I know Skylar's battling Teddy. He ain't battling Tua. But people we're out here pitting Tua against Skylar when, man, a better question is, I don't know, Greg Little against Austin Jackson. You know what I mean? Mozart and Edmonds. That's a better battle for number one. You know, Ogba and Phillips. You know what I mean? Siler and Wilkins. You want to have a real who should be paid and who should be our number one guy on defense? Should it be Wilkins or Siler? That's a legitimate argument. And that was a legit, but no one, why does it? And I get it because it's what you said. The quarterback is clickbaity. But if we're actually going to talk football and actually be football minds, why aren't we talking about that kind of stuff? Why are we talking about quarterback? It's nauseating. Like, there's people out here already that are selling them up the river for, and you know, everyone knows how I feel. Hey, man, I was the first one in this community to report Lamar Jackson to Miami back in December. No one had that before me. Go on any platform you want to have, okay? So, dude, and I said from the jump, as a passer, listen, I love Lamar as an athlete. Love he's intriguing athleticism-wise and speed-wise in this offense. But as a passer, you're going to pay him $45 million. You're going to guarantee him Deshaun Watson type of money when his body's going to break down by 30, 32 if he doesn't learn how to become a better pocket quarterback. What did Mike Vick have to do in Philadelphia under Andy Reid?
He had to learn how to pass.
And sit in the pocket, right?
Yeah.
And be efficient from the pocket.
Yep.
And Lamar ain't there yet. And you want to go out and pay that guy $45 million a year. He's going to want to reset the market. And he already has turned down more guaranteed money than Russell Wilson.
Yeah, that's the problem, though. That's part of the reason why he hasn't been.
Because he knows.
signed.
I'm telling you. I
They know.
reported it on Patreon. I'm going to tell you guys this. I don't know if I've told you. I reported on Patreon. I reported it here already. His camp has convinced him Tua is going to fail. And if he wants Miami, the Ravens aren't going to franchise tag him and hold him back. And he feels like he can get Miami.
The problem is, though, that none
Bro,
of that plan is going to
I have heard on record. Have you ever heard of Jimmy's Famous Seafood in Baltimore?
No.
It's a famous seafood place, okay, in like Maryland. And I guess he was the day we got Tyreek. He was at Jimmy's Famous Seafood, and he said it so everyone could hear. That Dolphins team is lit. If they had me, we'd win 3. So
Sounds
like
good.
he's convinced, man. I've heard this since December that he wants this, man. So we'll see how it rolls out because there's a lot going on over there. But man, there's people already after one game saying, "Bring Lamar in. I'm done. I've seen enough." They've given him one game in the new offense.
I don't understand that when we've been talking for months ad nauseam about the fact that when you switch over and you bring in as many different new pieces as they brought in, people, I think, I'm going to be honest with you. I think what people really think sometimes is like,
I thought our
Madden.
running game would get going quicker than what it did.
Madden is like, I mean, it's like Madden. That's what people envision, right? That you can just go grab any player off of any team, plug them in, and then it's just going to immediately
He's
just
right,
click.
Richmond. If you're a 96 on this team, you're going to be a 96 on this team when I bring you over.
And that is by far not how real football works. We all know this, but the unfortunate casual fan has that mentality, and that's what's driving all of this BS, all these BS narratives and thought processes about the development of this kid and any other players on this team that legitimately, they're not really even giving. It's just crazy, man. No one shows up polished. And if they do, it's because the system that they're playing in, everybody else is already locked in. Like Michael Parsons is a god, right?
Yeah.
But he's got a lot of good pieces on that Dallas defense, bro. Like, if you look around, you can find a bunch of dudes that are they're thriving, but they got a whole bunch of people already they was good before that person got there.
Yeah.
This Miami Dolphins offense, let's be clear, people. This Miami Dolphins offense was crappy.
And can I say this too? We saw some of the same things from Tua missing, not resetting his feet and making the throw and seeing the read.
Yeah.
We did see some issues with him that were on tape last year, but we also saw the same issues with the offensive line. They couldn't pick up a stunt or a looper to save their freaking life. Judon was coming up the middle, blah, 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 blah. And I know because I sent you the all 22 before you told me about your previous obligations or whatever. And bro, Connor Williams fan blocking and not keeping the head on the swivel, guys going right up the middle, bro.
Right?
Like right up the middle. You know what I mean? Like see, that's the thing. This is what I said, dude. Tua's got a lot to clean up, but the offensive line's got stuff to clean up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tyreek was round. If you look at that deep dig, I showed the film. If you look at that deep dig, Tua threw it like he was going to flatten out the dig at the top of the route, but he rounded it out. And then I showed he's still got his hands under it and didn't make the catch. Tyreek's got stuff he's got to clean up. And that's a all-pro, best receiver in the NFL, arguably best athlete, no doubt, in the NFL. And he's got stuff he got to clean up. And I know you guys, and I know Richmond probably watched it. Yo, did y'all not see Teron Armstead look rusty at times too?
Oh yeah,
right.
Yeah, and you're gonna see that a lot. Like you said, with this many pieces coming together. Like I said, week one. The other thing you got to take into consideration with as many people that we brought together as one unit, and now the way the training camp is structured, you only get one practice. You only got so many days in pads where it's hard to get your time, and it's going to take guys a couple of weeks for everything kind of comes together. But no matter what you guys say, no matter what you do, the people not going to stop, bro. I done figured it out. No matter you can every week it's going to be something. I already know it because
can I say this? I did say, and BallGame knows this, and I'll admit to it. Remember, I said that I thought this offense would come out and catch some teams sleeping. You saw some plays on the field where they could have caught them sleeping, and this score could have been like 34-7. You know what I mean? There was a couple times. So you see the potential is still there. And here's the thing. Listen, the good thing about 4 quality teams, playoff teams out the gate, basically. Well, the Ravens didn't make it last year, but I mean, everyone always puts them as a playoff contender every year, right? You're going to find out who you are real quick. Whereas, a softer schedule early on, the only benefactor I see of that is with a new team like Richmond said and all these new pieces, it would give you 4 or 5 games to get your legs under you. And then when the hard part comes up in the middle of the schedule, you start rolling it, right? So, but we're going to find out who we are real quick, and the good thing is the continuity in defense. That's the good thing that's holding this together, I think. All right, so I just want to quickly go over that Patriots game, just a couple notes, because so Tua and McDaniel undefeated. All right, McDaniel gets a Gatorade shower, 1-0. Bill Belichick didn't look like he wanted any of that handshake. They talked about this. I don't know if you guys heard this. Tua mentioned it in the post game. Then McDaniel mentioned it in his couple day later presser, and then they mentioned it again today. I guess McDaniel wasn't getting play calls in quick enough, and Tua was actually running plays. He was improvising.
Imagine that.
He was improvising. The guy who can't understand a playbook, look at, he's out there improvising an NFL offense. Go figure that one out, right? Anyways, general thoughts on the victory over the Patriots. I'll start you guys off with this. I said it a couple weeks ago, Durham Smythe tight end 1. You saw the snap count, and Gesicki had just a little over 40%, while Durham Smythe had a little over 60% of the snaps. Your guys' thoughts on on the victory and specifically on the whole Gesicki thing. Is it time to move that 10.9 million because it looks like it's not really a benefactor to this team right now?
Yeah, that has been brought up between you and BallGame. I give y'all credit for that, and especially with the way Smythe developed this and that, and I think that's one of the reasons that Gesicki got the 1-year deal. But considering now, I think the thing you got to really consider is with the offensive line having multiple injuries, this and that, and I was thinking that Gesicki possibly could, make it through this year in the way Smythe's playing, and which he still might. But if it comes to a point to where we lose a couple of offensive starters, offensive linemen, that might be bait we have to put out there to bring in another, tackle or whatever to kind of shore up things. So week one and you're supposed to be the starter and you're not getting the majority of the reps, if that's not a signal or a sign, I don't know what is, but it just shows that Smythe is more around as far as blocking, he's running routes and this and that. So overall, he's more polished, this and that, where I think Gesicki is really good at, running the routes and stuff, and not as much as being a blocking tight end, but it's definitely a possibility, especially with the injuries this early in the season. Are the question marks that we just don't know how healthy the offensive line is, that if needed be, we possibly could move him and probably bring a guy in or whatever. So that's definitely something to consider. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a great point. I thought that was a great question, to all the points you brought up. But it wouldn't surprise me if it happened. I would say that.
BallGame.
Well, I'm gonna be straight to the point. We've been going back and forth. Well, I have for a long time, right? And then when we hired McDaniels, I said right out the gate that I felt like the issues that Mike had were going to be even more pronounced in terms of his lack of being able to commit to run blocking. You need a total tight end, and although Durham Smythe doesn't have Mike's athleticism and can't officially threaten the deep seam and do some of those things and catch those 50-50 balls up the, that's not Durham Smythe's strength. He is what you could consider a complete tight end because he can do the short and some of the intermediate stuff with great success, and he can commit to the run game and your blocking schemes with no issues. Yeah. And when you have a coach that really wants to try to get after the run game, that's going to make a guy a liability. And unfortunately, I have been saying it over and over and over and over. And people was like, but Gesicki. I was like, but what is his role going to be if they've got a guy that they can trust to go in and do the one thing that he won't commit to?
Oh, dude, I know I sent you the film and you must have seen it. Yes. Hey, did you see that one chip on? It was either on Judon or Josh Uche. I think it was on Judon. Was it Uche? And the chip was like, and it was like, and then he like leaked out, and Uche just like, and just like, but then
what was that?
Like a couple plays later, Alec Ingold, smaller guy but more willing, capable blocker, guy's taking Judon head on, bro. Yep. 2 plays in a row, boom, taking him on, picking him up. Like Edmonds was picking up free rushers, and just like, you know what I mean? Like, oh my god.
Soft and baby poop.
Dude, I've said it since last year. This guy's more worried about his little frost tips than he is about perfecting his craft, man. And you know what? You know what? 10.9 million. You're seeing what's happening to the offensive line right now. Goodbye.
Because with this, with the things that
Tanner Connor was the writing on the wall, gentlemen. The fact that Tanner Connor, a developmental guy from Idaho State, as a freaking UDFA, comes in and they convert him from wide receiver, and he's one of now the fastest tight ends technically because he runs like a 4.37. Yeah, whoa. Tanner Connor. Yeah. Whoa. So that kid makes the 53 with a knee brace on, not able to even suit up. That's the writing on the wall that, bye-bye, Gesicki. We don't need your athleticism. We got the guy in the works. And you know what? That's the difference between our new staff and the old staff. Remember last year they tried to turn that basketball player, Jabril Blount, into a tight end. And that guy's, I don't know, he's dropping waffle fries at a Chick-fil-A somewhere right now.
The
So
Tanakana guy, I think the overall thought process of him is going to be, we can just put a little more weight on him.
mhm.
He's going to be perfect, and he's going to be on the matchup nightmare because he can run routes like a wide receiver, but he's big
And I
enough.
think he's more coachable.
He's more coachable. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you basically get your own Darren Waller for cheap.
Yeah.
That's a good
Under
point.
Embry. Yeah,
and
under Embry.
Yeah. So
Embry
yeah.
developed Kittle, developed Waller.
There it is.
You know what I mean? I've told everyone, if this guy would have dedicated to his craft, Gesicki's game would have been very
Untouchable,
similar to Jordan Cameron. Remember Jordan Cameron before the concussion stacked up in Cleveland was like one of the best tight ends in the league, and then we got him and he was concussion central and he just was nothing that was a shell of himself.
Yeah,
but that 2 years under Embry, he was like one of the best that they were like, that's their prototype. They're almost identical players, but he would have had to become the willing and capable blocker to become Jordan Cameron.
I think the fact that, well, you know, and it's just sad though, because Mike and his athleticism is just ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
If we could have got
just competence.
Yes.
Just competence.
Oh, it'd be.
I'm not asking you to be like the best blocker in the NFL. Just competent.
He'd be so nasty, bro.
Yeah. I would be on board with the whole top 5 talk that some of our fan base has been spewing the past couple of years. But you know me, BallGame, I haven't even been able to get on board with top 10 talk. So, all right, your guys' overall, I'm going to ask your guys' overall thoughts on Tua's game. I gave it in between a C+ to a B-. Somewhere in there is where I fall. You know what I mean? There was poor decision making at times, right? That time where he got flushed out, he could have reset his feet, saw Waddle over the middle early, made the throw, but instead he forced it and it almost got picked off. You know, you saw him trying to play hero ball when clearly he should have thrown it away or tucked it and take the sack, and he got away with almost some fumbles. You know, just I saw a couple misreads. I saw some poor decision making. I was seeing decision making that I would see of a rookie. And I was saying, but then at the same token, after saying all that, I saw efficient Tua. That's how he put up 270 yards.
Yep.
Okay. You cannot be a bad NFL quarterback and put up 270 yards in a game against, guess what? That defense is still good in New England. They're not. New England's Achilles heel is not the defense. All right.
Yep.
It is. All right. So, you know, and honestly, BallGame, because we broke down the all 22 for now, it's the third year of Tua Tuesdays. Listen, I saw the same guy that doesn't trust his protection at times, but I saw him misreads himself, but I also saw misreads because of the protection. You know what I mean? So, like, again, I'm just gonna say it, mixed bag. That's the best term I can say. It was a mixed bag for me.
That's true. I gave him a C+, and I gave him a C+ because I could see. I mean, I always watch so I'm not a big quarterback guy. But I watch quarterbacks because I want to make sure that when people are out here talking about what makes a good quarterback, I can at least see those things and identify if our guy has it or not. It is hard for me to identify all of the intangibles that I believe they're there, but he can't get to showcase them because by the time the ball is hiked, someone is in his face. Well, the pressure is so extreme that he's flushed off of he's flushed off of his spot, and he has to go try to reset, or he's running for his life. You know, like for me, I saw a guy that was able to do the best he could do under the circumstances that he was given. You know, because you don't just get 270 yards in the NFL. You know, it's by happenstance. Just don't happen, right? I watched Joe Burrow throw 4+ interceptions on Sunday, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that they rave him to be top 3, top 4. You know what I mean? And then I watch Aaron Rodgers go through the same thing. You know what I mean?
Isn't it funny? Aaron Rodgers, guys, one of the best natural passers since Dan Marino. Look at what happens when he has a shoddy offensive line and no weapons. In the receiving core. Look at what happens. Isn't that kind of crazy? Now, I still think Aaron Rodgers is going to come out this week and light it up. But I'm just saying, like, it even happens to the great ones when they got nothing to work. Like when Alan Lazard's your number one guy.
Yeah. And he was hurt. So for me, week 1 was a success because ultimately we got the W and we came out of that game banged up, but not as banged up to the point that I have to be overly concerned because I think Baltimore going into week 2 is a lot worse often we are in terms of losing Staley, losing Fuller, you know what I mean? All those things. So,
that boy Linderbaum I saw some all 22 of him getting to the second level, man. Another center
nasty.
we whiffed on, bro. Oh.
Yeah. I'm okay. Like overall, bro, I'm like really okay with where we were coming out of this game. Obviously, like I said, the W was great. But at the same time, I also knew that there would be these struggles. I always preface everything with just
you said
knowing
since
football.
What, week 6? Week 6?
Yeah, I figured it's gonna take them 6 because like they haven't really ever had a chance to really commit to the physicality of the game yet.
And that was the first time we had all of our starters out there on the same field at the same time.
You know what I mean? You saw all of the missed tackles, you saw all of these different things, and I saw people in all these different chats talking about, oh, the tackle is hard. But what do you expect? They don't get the tackle in practice. And the last time any of these guys tackle was in a preseason game that they got pulled after one series. You see what I'm saying? So how can you get good at something if you have a limited amount of time to actually commit to the process? That makes no sense. But again, it's one of those situations where people are legitimately over and over again thinking to themselves that plug and play. The guy should be able to go out and do the same thing. But no, they're human beings, man. And they need to practice. They need to practice their craft to be good at their craft. Just C+ for me for Tua. So he could have had a B-, you know, man, if he'd have hit maybe 2 or 3 more of those wide open receivers. But I believe he'll get there. And if the offensive line improves, I would believe without a shadow of a doubt that he's going to do everything we need him to do, and the ball is going to be right where these guys need to do, and they're going to light it up because you can see how Waddle and Hill both on the field at the same time affected how the Patriots tried to play them. You know what I mean? They did a lot of shell stuff, man. They did a lot of rolling guys underneath, trying to put guys over the top. You know what I'm saying? They disguised a lot of different things.
They played a lot of cover 3,
A lot of cover 3, yes. So, you know, gonna be interesting. You can't man these guys up.
Robert a lot. Yeah. They were definitely. But look at us, man. See, we weren't just motioning. We weren't just motioning. Yeah, it was a ton of cover 3. Which is usually like you watch. I mean, we've watched them the last few years, specifically closely because we do the 2 Tuesdays, and you see a lot of press, man. You know, cover 1 press, and it's like cover 3 central over. But the motions, like we were even running CFL style motions, like when we did Cedric with the loop, and you know, we were showing a lot of creativity just with how we were motioning. And I gotta say, this guy's Tyreek, when he gets a free release and he gets momentum off the motion to that release, like, oh my god, guys, unfreaking guardable. Richmond, what did you think about Tua? But also, what did you think about the offensive line? And specifically, I thought a guy who struggled was Liam Eichenberg.
Yeah, definitely some things to clean up front. And like you said, I don't know if it's Connor Williams. You know, he's typically a guard, but like you said, missing some guys coming around on the loop and stuff like that. And I think he had maybe 1 or 2 bad snaps. So all that's got to get cleaned up. But the other thing that I was really impressed with is, as you just said a few minutes ago, I didn't know that Coach McDaniel even acknowledged that Tua has the capability that, say we catch the defense on a nickel, he knows the offense enough to where he can speed up the offense with the weapons we got and call the plays. Because if he had to do it week 1 and we were having issues with getting the plays in, and he was doing it, just imagine if you catch, you know, if they're in a base defense and we got our 4 wide out there, whatever, you see the mismatch and you can take advantage of it. So to me, that tells me he's highly intelligent. He understands the offense, but there are things he need to clean up. I think one of the things that stood out this Sunday to me was he did miss a couple throws, but I'm like, okay with that. And I think this comes with time, but I think we were up, and I thought a couple times he should have like just threw the ball away or just take the sack. When you're up 20-7, protect it. Don't risk sometimes forcing a turnover or getting sacked and losing the ball and swing the momentum, and then they get an easy score or whatever. Sometimes it's hard to get it back, but if he cleans those things up, yeah, he's not bad. Like you guys said, I think each week continually, as long as we continue to get better, by the time we hit 6, 7, 8, the middle of the season, and we're fine tuned, you're gonna even see a better, more productive offense. And I think we all knew that the defense was going to be the ahead of the offense at this point in the season, so that wasn't a surprise. But it gives them time to kind of catch up. But just if we get this offensive line cleaned up, like BallGame said, where he can really just have faith or trust that I'll have time, because 1 minute you got time, 1 minute, you as soon as you get back, you got to get rid of the ball. This and that. It's hard to kind of get in a rhythm, but he played good, but there are some things he need to catch up. So I'll say a B- or something like that. But definitely got some work to do.
I got a great stat for you, Richmond, and I actually wanted to ask you something based off of it. So if Mike McDaniel wins this weekend, that's obviously a 2-0 start, and that would be the Dolphins' first 2-0 start under a new head coach since Jimmy Johnson started 2-0 in 96, and that would just be the second time in team history. I got to ask you this, because you've been under new regimes and everything like that, and BallGame's alluded to the week 6 comfortability. Do you foresee, is this one of those things where you got the 20-7 win, guys flashed, you showed a certain level of efficiency, but you're just going to get more comfortable in this new offense and with these guys week by week, so the production, you just feel like the execution and the production is going to get sharper week by week as you get more comfortable? Because I know you've been in offenses where there's been a regime change and such, so is it just a week by week thing? Because again, these guys were never on the field for a quarter or 2 quarters together during the preseason. There's always 1, 2, 3 guys out of the starters missing. Just I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I kind of split it up. I think the thing is that, like you say, with the offensive line, the key is getting healthy and getting whoever the starting 5 going to be, having them where we can consistently have them play. Not week 1 we got this 5 or this week because this guy is in it. If we can kind of consistently get 5 guys to kind of get together where they consistently work together, I think that's a huge plus. But as far as like Tyreek, Tua, Waddle, the receivers, this and that, the thing that I really like about that, and I noticed it during the offseason, never just watching and stuff like that, they do a great job of communicating. So I can pretty much guarantee that when they got, like you said, on that dig route or whatever, Tua probably told him, hey, I thought you was going to flatten it out. And he said, oh, I rounded it. Okay, I see it. So next time when that comes up, if I know you want me to flatten it out, I will. But if I have to round it up, you'll know why. But that's the dialogue that happens between teammates. And I had an opportunity to experience that with Duper, Clayton, and Marino. And it was just a thing of magic when we would get in like 2-minute or speed it up. And Dan would say, okay, if he's playing it this way, that way, I want you to run this. If he does this, this, and that, he would give him 3 or 4 options. And they just knew, but they were all in sync. And when that comes together, that's gonna be scary. Because when I saw Waddle catch that, I guess that was a quick post or whatever, he caught it and the guy missed him. I was like, the speed we got, we could have a ton of big plays like that. Yeah. Like you said, it could have easily been 34-7 this weekend. So I'm definitely excited. I've seen enough good stuff that if we continue to improve, we should be pretty competitive this year.
All right, let's get into the Ravens stuff before we do. Hey, BallGame.
Yeah, bro.
How about your boy Noah riding the pine and my boy Darth Kader Kohou going out there and making some real plays, huh, bro? Come on,
yeah,
son.
Man, yeah.
Bro, and all jokes aside, they got something special in this kid. This is Nick Needham. He's on your heels for that slot potentially. They might not have to pay you because they found this kid. So,
bro, this is one of them situations where you see the difference truly in a guy that's naturally been playing that position all of his life.
Yeah.
Against a guy that got converted and they want him to play that position just because he's athletic. It's a big difference, man. And unfortunately, you know what I mean? I'm still gonna rally for Noah, but I don't think it's gonna happen, and I'm gonna owe you that money. So it's gonna be all right though. We're in good hands with Kader. If they can keep finding gems in UDFAs like this, bro, we're gonna be all right.
Beautiful, right? Okay, so today, guys, they signed right tackle Brandon Shell from, obviously started off with the Jets, then he played the last 2 years in Seattle. He's a guy pressure wise. Last year on 354 pass blocking reps, he allowed 21 pressures, 3 sacks, 4 hits, 14 hurries. The year before on 499 pass block reps, he allowed 4 sacks, 4 hits, 16 hurries for 24 pressures. The year before that in 2019 was actually his worst. On 505 pass blocking snaps, he allowed 7 sacks, 6 hits, and 30 hurries for 43. So he's an absolute pressure machine. And the word coming out, because guess what? The injury report came out today. Taron Armstead, he's got a toe injury. He did not participate. They gave him vet rest, but it's also a toe injury. They don't know. McDaniel was non-committal to him starting this weekend. And then Austin Jackson has an ankle injury, and he did not participate. And he's going to be out this weekend. So basically, I'm going to ask you guys, can we survive that defensive front, which is really good, against the Ravens, when it looks like if no Armstead and Austin Jackson is going to go, then Little's going to be at left tackle, Hunt's going to be at right tackle, and Robert Jones is going to be at right guard. Okay, and then obviously you're going to have fill in the spaces, Liam Eichenberg at left guard and Connor Williams at center. This is not the stretch. We need these injuries to pile up. How concerned are you about these injuries? We'll start off with you, Richmond. How concerned are you about these O-line injuries piling up? And with that offensive line I just read off, can they survive the Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore, where, might I add, an interesting little quirky stat, since M&T Bank Stadium opened in 98, Miami is 0-4 all time there. They have not won in Baltimore since October 19th, 1997. Floor is yours.
I actually played in that game in '97, but that's a long time ago. But I'm
bro, is that when you had the gaiters and the short shorts and you're walking on walking by the beach, brother?
Huh?
You don't know that. The drop top.
I'm ready for you today. I was listening to a little Red Man and Method Man today, so I went old school.
You need to listen to a little Sauce Money before we started, brother.
But no, to get back on track, both of your starting tackles out. That's a huge concern for me, because typically you have one guy that is your swing tackle, and to have both of them out, I was hoping to run, but like you said, with coach not being committal this early in the season, and an ankle injury, it just depends if it's a high ankle sprain or whatever with Jackson. That could turn into, few weeks to several weeks. So I don't know the extent of the injury, but definitely concerned. So being on the road as well, crowd noise, silent count, this could be ugly. But I'm hoping they can work their magic and get it together. I'm sure Coach McDaniel understands what he's going into, and maybe some quick passes or screens to try to get those guys to slow down a little bit, but or maybe bringing a receiver, tight end to kind of help chip block to slow some of those guys down. I'm sure they're gonna put some stuff in the offense. You can't do it every play, but this is a huge concern for me for having your two starting tackles. I can remember the first thing I thought about when you said that was when I think David Carr was a rookie here at the Texans, and Baselli, and I can't remember who the other tackle was, but both of them were injured, and he ended up getting sacked like 70 times that year, and he was never the same, because he was a pretty good player coming out of Fresno State.
Yeah, he was very good.
Yeah. And you can't let your quarterback get beat up like that.
It's funny you bring him up, Richmond, because I had a conversation with some of them a couple weeks ago. Yeah. And you look at how talented that kid was coming out of Fresno. He is the perfect example of why environments and situations matter.
Yep.
That kid is the perfect example
Yeah.
because if he would have the protection coming out and the
Yeah.
proper team built around him, he was more talented than Derek.
Yeah,
Like
I agree.
people forget how good he was coming out of college, but they ruined him right out of the gate.
They ruined him. And I
Yeah.
said, you don't let a young quarterback, you don't even let an old quarterback get beat up like that. You just can't. So that's my concern with both tackles being out. And I'm not saying the Dolphins will let that happen to Tua or any quarterback, but with the pass rushes, the way the guys get up the field, I'm just thinking we got to do some screens and chip blocks to try to slow them down and just be efficient and then take our shots when we get them. Because I think we can still take shots at them, but that's my biggest concern is the offensive line, because if we can control them up front, we got a shot.
BallGame, I want to get your opinion on the offensive line, but add on top of that, because defensively, they started figuring out the zero blitz in the fourth quarter, and Harbaugh and Lamar Jackson both mentioned the zero blitz today and talking about, they basically said, we got something for it. We're ready for it this time. And Harbaugh talked about how they've been thinking about it all summer. The guy's Coach Petty. He's had this marked down since we gave him what we gave him on prime time. So I want to hear your thoughts on the offensive line and also how you would attack him defensively, given how they're expecting the zero blitz. And we saw a lot of zone this past weekend. Similar game plan. What would you do?
So, yeah, the offensive line woes are very concerning, but I think this just puts in motion probably for McDaniels more quick game stuff. Get the ball out quick. Let your athletes be athletes. Take advantage of the fact that you're going to have a backup corner opposite Humphrey in one of the matchups, and just play to your strengths at this point. The offensive line is definitely not one of them, but you got three guys actually, because I got to include Cedric in there. Three guys that can wiggle and get open, and just resort to the quick game. So I'm hoping that they employ something like that. I don't necessarily know that the Ravens are really that stout up front, so we might be able to have some success running behind Robert Hunt and kind of in the middle, but the edge is going to be tough to get outside, because the backups will be the guys featured at the tackle positions. But for the most part, as long as they can get the ball out quick, I think we'll have a chance. Our athletes, our wide receivers are better than their corners, in my opinion. So at least at one of the matchups, if people want to say that Humphrey and Waddle are washed, then Tyreek against whoever else is not, and we win that one.
Brandon Stevens or Marcus Peters or whoever.
Yeah, Marcus Peters is coming back off of
He's
an
limited.
ACL.
Yeah.
So I'm not really expecting him to be that much of a force as well.
Yeah, it's going to be Marlon Humphrey and Brandon Stevens because Fuller went down too, right?
Yeah, he's out for the season with the ACL last week.
Yeah.
So, and they didn't really they beat the Jets, but they really didn't beat up on the Jets because they didn't have much in terms of offensive productivity. The Jets has allowed, unfortunately, a couple things to get loose with, like Bateman, and all of the throws were, I don't know, that Jets defense is not our defense. So defensively, I think because Boyer now has shown that he's willing to go to some zone looks, that's going to play in our favor because he can spy guys now. You got a Chandantino. You got a guy that can actually probably run with Lamar to keep him, in the pocket and force him to make throws in the pocket as well, instead of allowing them to get outside to run for first downs and things of that nature. The zone, right, is going to do two things. One, it's going to free up the guys in the back end to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of closing gaps and things off and rerouting wide receivers to where they want them to go to, as opposed to allowing guys free reign to try to just beat the man-to-man. And then two, the quarterback's got to navigate that. And I'm just not 100% sure that Lamar is the type of passer that's going to be able to effectively be able to carve us up down to down to down. Like I don't have that much faith in Lamar as a passer, to be truthful with you. Athletically, he's probably the tops, but in terms of a pure passer, nah, he's not that guy. Not for me. So I think our offense, for a fact that our defense against their offense is a win for us too. He's got to prove it. They say they got something for the zero blitz. But if you've been going all off season planning for the zero blitz and we never show it to you, then what's good? What good is the plan that you put in place? If we can come out and effectively show that we can do other things as well. You know what I mean? Because match coverage will work just the same as a zero can, and we can still get to you, right? We might not be able to overload you the same way, but that Brandon Jones blitz off on Sunday, right? We went straight strong side, right? Generally, you don't, and you know what I'm saying, you're gonna send the overload if you know that they're gonna be blocking it up and the tight end's not releasing. Well, hell, that tight end left. And you know what I'm saying, people was talking about it was the tackles position. Well, the tackle took the inside guy, the guy that was directly over his outside shade. Brandon just happened to be the next guy free. I mean, if we get them stuck in a situation where they're trying to get Mark Andrews out into the, you know what I'm saying, out into his pass routes, and we can catch Lamar not even thinking about the possibility of us coming, you know what I'm saying, coming strong side to him, that's going to be murder too. I mean, we unconventionally send pressure from all different angles, man. So if they worried about the zero, I think they're going to have a lot more to worry about because Boyer has shown out at this point that he believes in zone just as well. You can get pressure out the zone just as effectively you can out of zero. So I'm not overly worried. I just think that this is a game that, you know, with offensive line woes, we have to be a lot more crisper in the things that we do outside the tackle boxes. You know what I mean? The guys got to get what they can get, keep the ball moving, first downs, make sure you're getting them and getting all you can get and getting down so you can get on to the next play. And then, you know, hit them and punch them in the mouth, you know, run right at them. Don't try to run away from them. Run right at them. Make them prove to you that they're ready for all that you're willing to showcase. That's my opinion.
All right. Finally, guys, I want who do you got winning this game? And on top of that, do you guys view this as I talked about Harbaugh being a little petty and how they talked about the zero blitz. Do you view this as a revenge game for the Ravens as well? BallGame, start with you.
I think anytime you go into a game with a team that they've kicked your ass, and then you turn around and you go back and and then they kick your ass, and then you go back and you kick theirs. It sets itself up to be a situation like that, and you know it's good for the NFL. It's good for rivalries between teams and across the conference and things of that nature. So, revenge, I don't necessarily know. I think it would be a revenge thing if we beat their ass twice like that. But I think it's just them still trying to prove to us that they're better than us, and us proving to them that y'all ain't got nothing on us. We did the same thing to you did to us. So I wouldn't necessarily say revenge, but I think it's a key game in the AFC that's going to determine later down the line, you know what I'm saying, seeding and things of that nature, because if you can always get a head-to-head win over an AFC opponent, that bodes well for you, especially if y'all end up with the same record down the stretch. So,
and 63% of the time, teams have started out 2-0 in the NFL season. They make the playoffs.
There we go.
So, who do you got winning?
Obviously, I'm gonna go with us.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, you had it on your thing too. Yeah.
To the tune of I'm gonna say 28-14.
Oh, look at this guy. Bold. Richmond, is this a revenge? Hey, you've been in the trenches there. You think the Ravens, you saw what we did to them last year on primetime, too, of all things. It wasn't just some 1:00 slate on CBS. The whole nation was watching, and Tua was the talk of the town after the game, after the second half. Do you think they got this circled down? Is it a revenge game? And what's your prediction? Who do you got winning?
I think Harbaugh definitely. He might not publicly come out and say it, but if somebody really gets you and handle you, you want to come back from that one and let them know that you're not gonna just keep doing that. And so definitely in the back of the mind for them to even come out and mention the zero blitz. I mean, if it was me, I wouldn't have said nothing. I'd have been like, I'd have played it the other way. I'd have said, well, we're really concerned. We got to figure out what we're gonna do against it. But when you're really feeling cocky and you saying, oh yeah, we got something for that, this and that, you're tipping your hand, and that's something I never do that. I just play it the other way. But he definitely hadn't forgot for him to say he's been working on this all summer. Yeah, I think you answered that with the question. I think it's definitely a revenge game. But I think when we did the picks or whatever, I picked Baltimore winning. It's my heart is always with the Dolphins. I think the concern for me is the offensive line and the injuries in this and that. But I'm gonna go with the Dolphins, but I think it's gonna be a much closer game. I'm thinking something like 2017 Dolphins if we pull it out. That'll be huge.
All right, I'm going with the Ravens. I'll be the one that puts my neck on the line. I still think we're going to come out 3-1 after the first 4 games, but I think we just don't play good in Baltimore. I mean, we just talked about it. I don't know what it is. Just some. It's like I'm a Pittsburgh Penguin fan. We do not play good when we play in the Florida Panthers building. We haven't played good there since the 90s. We have not played good in the Florida Panthers building since the 90s. Hey, they can change it, but because of I still think basically prepare for another week of bull crap because I think our offense is still going to show that it's not where it needs to be. And, I got us taking the L. Now I'll give my score prediction on my Friday preview show on Phinside the NFL. But, yeah, I don't have us winning this game. I think we're going to take the L. So
That's fair enough.
And the other thing, too, is if what I'm hearing about Lamar is true, that man's going to try and put on a show against us and make Stephen Ross a believer. So, all right. Final thoughts, guys?
My final thoughts, I was just thinking about what you said, but yeah, the other thing you always got to take into consideration is, Lamar Jackson grew up in South Florida, so it's a little extra incentive because
you
all
get
his
up
boys,
for those games, right?
you get up for those games. You're from there and this and that, so especially the way we played him the last time and handled that's on the back of his mind as well. So it's quarterback, coach, and I'm sure the coach has been hyping the team up and this and that. And like you said, for him to keep mentioning that this is a place that he possibly want to land, he definitely want to shine on the Dolphins and in front of them. If what he's been hearing that, if Tua's out of here, you can just go back to South Florida and play there. But final thoughts is, I think we're gonna find a way. I think we'll definitely be competitive. I'm hoping we can pull it out. I know it's gonna be a tough game, but I think with Coach McDaniel, if we make a few plays and like BallGame said, the quick passing and stuff like that, if we can frustrate them and kind of get them off the deal and be smart with the football, we can possibly pull this one out. So
I think it's going to be high. Like I'll give my prediction, like I said on Friday on my show on Phinside the NFL, but I do think it's going to be high scoring.
Okay. We'll leave it right there. That's cool, homie.
So, BallGame, your final thoughts?
I think ultimately, in order to beat a man, you got to be able to consistently beat the man. And if this Dolphins team moving forward,
Ric Flair over here. All right,
yes,
your Ric Flair drip. All right, let's go.
Wants to establish themselves as a team to be reckoned with, you got to go even on the road and put the smackdown on whoever it is that you got on your schedule. So
this guy with the wrestling references tonight,
for me,
I love it, eh?
Smackdown.
You know what I'm saying? They're gonna go and do. I just like the swagger, man. I like the swagger of McDaniels, man. I think he's ready to go in there.
Did you see the kicks he was rocking?
Yeah.
You see the low cut Air Force Supremes?
Yeah.
They were nice, bro. This guy's out here swagalicious, bro. I don't know what to say.
Trying to go put the smackdown on the candy asses, you know what I'm saying? So
third.
Candy. Okay.
The cream rises to the top.
Lamar's one dude, bro. And I just don't think that this group wants to allow one. This group's not built defensively to allow one guy to beat them anymore. And let's be clear. They played the Jets week 1. We played the Patriots. Patriots have a way better foundation on defense against our offense. You know what I mean? Now, Mac Jones didn't look so well against our defense, but it's Lamar, right? They got rid of Cooks. You know what I mean? What that boy name was that they got rid of?
Hollywood. Are you talking about Hollywood
Brown? Yeah. Marquise Brown.
I don't believe Bateman is a dog to beat X.
What do you mean? Did you see that? Oh, well, I don't know about beating X. Did you see that touchdown catch he had, though? That ball?
Look how wide open he was, though.
Bro, that's Bateman, bro.
Like they lost him. They lost him in the coverage. Somebody messed up.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
I
love him, too. I like him, too. Minnesota all the way.
Yeah, but I don't know if he can beat X. I agree with that.
So if I gotta run it down and look at it for what it is, I just think we're a better team right now than they are. I think we're on the incline and they're on the decline.
Bro, I hope I'm wrong. I said before we were live, bro, I hope y'all are right. I pray I'm wrong. I
So,
we
like
all
candles.
Dolphin
I kind of
fans
like
at the end of
candles.
the
I got a
day.
prayer circle. I hope
and
I'm wrong, bro.
this is not me being a fan, bro. This is me just looking at the matchup and looking
Yeah,
at
you're trying to be objective. Yeah,
the
yeah.
individuals, right? I look at each side of the ball, and I think we're equal. Our offense against their defense with the losses that they suffer. Right, Stanley not being there is huge for them, for us. So our defense should eat. Lamar going to have to be running
Our
for his
front,
life.
yeah. Our
You
front
know what
was
I mean?
very impressive against the Patriots.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm just gonna stick with what I said originally. When we made our predictions, I think we can beat these guys, and we need to do that anyway to build the type of confidence that we're gonna need down the stretch to actually go into the playoffs and actually, if we have to go on a road, beat somebody.
Bro,
You know what I mean?
if we beat the Ravens in M&T Bank Stadium, and then you guys I already think we're beating the Bills, even if we lose to the Ravens. You know what I'm going to be thinking if we beat the Ravens?
Super Bowl, baby.
I'm gonna be like insufferable for like a week. You know what I mean? Bills Mafia gonna put a hit out on me. All right, guys. Hey, always a pleasure. I want to thank everyone for coming. We had over 500 people watching tonight live on YouTube. You can catch the audio on Stitcher, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spotify, anywhere you stream your major podcast. Go check it out. The Finish Line, part of the Believe Network, and tonight presented by Phinside the NFL. Listen, I will be back on Phinside the NFL on Friday. If you're on YouTube, go check it out. And I will be giving a full in-depth preview of this game this weekend between the Ravens and the Dolphins. And then on YouTube, I will be live reacting on Sunday for the game. Until next time, everyone, stay happy, healthy, safe, and blessed. Fins up as always. And we will see you next week right back here at the Finish Line.